Lisa! I instinctively shouted, and when she glanced at me, she dropped the entire cup she was holding, the glass shattering onto the floor. Blindly, I jumped over the counter to help her clean up, and thankfully I was allowed to help her after assuring her supervisor that Lisa was my friend. Lisa, I'm so happy to have met you again. How have you been? It's been fine. We chatted, and at first she was uncomfortable, but soon she gradually began relaxing, and I was glad to have her goofy self back. She confided that the college fund her mother saved for her was enough for her to attend college, and I was ecstatic to learn it was the same college as mine, even though she was pursuing liberal arts while I was in business. She found a campus job, and she and her mother still, unfortunately, were living on the streets and in a car. When we finished cleaning up, I knew that after all these years, I knew exactly who I wanted to marry, and I didn't leave the coffee shop like Lisa told me to. Please, Lisa, since you were unable to come to my birthday party last time, can I invite you to come watch my presentation? Your presentation? Yeah, my presentation. Oh, my presentation! I'm late! With Lisa's hand in mine, I led her to my class lecture hall, pulling her to a front seat. She seemed mesmerized, her eyes growing wide and distant as I shared about my parents' business and about how I would be taking over it soon. When my presentation finished, however, Lisa shot up from her seat and dashed towards the exit of the lecture hall before I could pack up. Wait! I called. Feeling a sense of déjà vu and abandoning my materials, I ran after her and grabbed her arm. Lisa, what's wrong? Wow, Rowan. I didn't know you were going to be an heir to your parents' company. You're a lot richer than I thought. She looked like she was about to cry again, and I knew instantly that this was about my parents, and I didn't want to lose her again. Look, Lisa, I'm sorry about what happened back then with my parents. I really want to know more about you, and I want to help you and your mother. So, please, can you come over tomorrow night? I want you to meet my parents again. Rowan, thank you for inviting me, but you have your own future, your own family. And I have nothing. I can't give you anything. What are you talking about? You gave me my life back. Please, come over. I promise I will protect you. Lisa kept refusing, but she reluctantly agreed to come over to a restaurant rather than our home tomorrow night. I bought her a beautiful blue dress, a pair of nice shoes, and a pearl necklace. She even agreed to get her hair styled with little bows and gems. She looked absolutely breathtaking. I then told my parents to meet me at the restaurant at the same time, saying that I had a surprise for them. They cheerfully agreed, correctly guessing it was going to be about a girl. And that night, I drove Lisa there and entered the restaurant with her hidden behind me. Mom? Dad? I brought someone special for you to meet. Oh, finally! Hubby, go pull up the spreadsheet. This is wonderful news.
Yes, I have the spreadsheet here now. Rowan, my boy, who's the lucky gal? I'll have to remember which cell number she is.
She's Lisa. Both of my parents froze as I stepped aside, revealing Lisa. And I knew they'd been keeping track of her all these years because of how they knew exactly who I was talking about. When my mother's eyes landed on Lisa, I knew I had made a terrible mistake. Not you, filthy, groveling beggar again! Get out of here! You don't belong here! Mom! Stop that!
People like you are tainting our world and should not exist!
Lisa was shaking and crying. The other people at the restaurant were now staring, whispering and pointing. The waitress didn't approach us. And just like back in my 16th birthday, my mother reached down to her glass and flung her red wine at Lisa, staining her hair and dress. But she wasn't finished there. My mother then reached forward, yanking Lisa's pearl necklace off and the bows in her hair, throwing them onto the ground and stamping them with her high heels. I had had enough. Mom! Dad! That's enough! Lisa is the girl I love and want to marry, and you can't tell me otherwise. She may not have everything we have, but she has a heart with more kindness and respect than both of yours combined.
Rowan, you do not talk to your parents that way. We set you up for success ever since you were born, and you're throwing it all away.
We had invested in you to grow up with a life of luck and fortune. This girl will unravel all of our hard work that we did just for our son. And if she does not leave this place right this instant, you are no son of ours! Then I guess I'm no longer your son. With that, I grabbed Lisa's hand and pulled her out of the restaurant, turning my back to my parents. Let's run away, I told her when we got back into my car. She was stunned, and she objected at first, but I had already set my mind onto it. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that I had to protect Lisa. That was my promise to her. I owed everything to her. For the next few weeks, we lived together in a small vacation home near the southern border where we first met. I turned off phone service on my phone to avoid contacting my parents, and I had enough in my assets and savings for us to last the rest of our lives, given how small the home was. Even still, Lisa continued working to help pay for it, despite my protests. Lisa still attended school while I looked after the house, and eventually, her mother moved in with us. And life there was peaceful. I learned how to do laundry, and her mother was an amazing cook. I learned how to fry eggs and make omelets, and Lisa brought me grocery shopping for the first time ever. It was exhilarating. I didn't know that people live such exciting, eventful lives like this. And Lisa and her mother were so thankful to be sleeping on a mattress again. They kept trying to pay me back, but I declined every time. Lisa saved my life, and it was my turn to save theirs. My, you really are a nice young man. Lisa is so lucky to have met you. I think you got that backwards, ma'am. If I may, I would really like to marry your daughter. But what about your parents? Aren't they worried about you? It doesn't matter what they think. As long as I have your blessing, I would love for you and Lisa to be a part of my life forever. And then, one day, Lisa and I were doing dishes before a knock on our door was heard. Lisa's mother went to answer, and we jumped when we heard a scream. Both of us immediately dropped what we were doing and sped towards the entrance. And my jaw dropped to the floor when I saw Mom and Dad at our doorway. Except, Dad had collapsed onto the ground, and Lisa's mother was next to him, panicking. Mom, what are you doing here? What's wrong with Dad? Oh, Rowan, thank goodness you're okay. We were looking for you all over the place. Mom, what's wrong with Dad? Why did he fall? Together, Lisa, her mother, my mother, and I helped move my dad to the couch in the living room. As we sat together in a silent circle, the awkwardness was palpable before I decided to speak up. Mom, can you explain what is going on? It turned out that after I had gone missing, my mom and dad had gone into full panic, calling the police and filing missing person reports about me. I had actually even made newspaper headlines, considering I was supposed to be their next rising heir. But I obviously hadn't been keeping track of the news as my phone service was off. Eventually, my parents deduced I must be down near the southern border where I had met Lisa. And they were right. That was when I learned about my dad's deteriorating health, a condition that worsened with stress. I felt terrible that I had caused my father so much suffering these past few weeks, and I knew Lisa and her mother would agree. But still, I told my mom that I was very happy where I was, and now that she'd seen I was fine, she and Dad could stop worrying about me and leave once they both got enough rest. Rowan, please come home. We need you. Your dad can't keep up with our company's duties forever, and we miss you. Not without Lisa. And against my expectations, my mother turned to Lisa, who had been silent the whole night, and reached out. This time, not to slight her, but to grab her hands warmly. And the next thing she said was even more shocking than all the horrible things she'd said to Lisa. Lisa, I realized a couple things when my Rowan had gone missing and seeing my husband struggle every day. I realized that life is too short to only chase after perfection or idealizations, and that anything can disappear in a second. I know you know that better than anyone. I felt threatened when I saw you, and that you'd ruin my son's life. But I was wrong. How could you ruin his life when you saved it? When I walked in, Rowan looked so happy. So happy. And so... I'm sorry. For everything. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Mom, I said. And Lisa was crying again. But this time, there was a smile. Reaching forward, she and my mother exchanged a hug. Lisa's mother had offered to cook dinner for us. And for the first time in my life, my mother agreed to a meal cooked by someone other than a 5-star Michelin chef. My dad finally awoke just in time for dinner, and we all sat around the small dining table. I promised my parents I would return home, go back to school, and assume the duties of being their heir under the condition that I could still keep seeing Lisa.
No. Rowan, you can't.
Your father's right. My jaw plummeted open, feeling like a stone dropped into my stomach. Were they acting this whole time? Lying to my face? To my horror, Lisa and her mother had stopped smiling too. This must be one sick joke. Slowly, my mom smiled, and my dad burst into uproarious laughter.
You can't just keep seeing Lisa. She will have to help you look after the company.
Yes, I thought you were marrying her. And together, we shared a large laugh. Turning to Lisa, I said, I love you. I love you too. So, when are you going to ask me to marry you? Everyone's waiting.